savings hacks can the Great Depression teach us? Let's check out the Frugal Fit Mom and see which tips don't make it into this century.
Be conservative with what you have instead of being wasteful. So for example, if you're washing dishes, instead of like dumping soap all over the thing, use a little bit to conserve the amount of soap that you have, because back then there was no guarantee that you could go get more. I think all of us kind of experienced that same thing during the toilet paper shortage. You know, maybe we were considering to conserve what little toilet paper we had because we were not sure if we could get more. That seems to have passed, so that's great.
Overbuying is kind of sneaky because it sounds super frugal most of the time. Like, I went to Costco, I got the jumbo pack. But buying in bulk has some shortcomings. When you buy in bulk, you might be tempted to overbuy. Yeah, Costco has a great deal on toilet cleaners, but do I really need 6 whole bottles? And will it take me 10 years to get through all of that at a normal pace? Do I really want to buy that? I don't think so. I also find myself overusing when I buy in bulk. It's kind of that idea like that you can use the end of the toothpaste and squeak out one more brushing for like 2 or 3 weeks, but the rest of the toothpaste just went away so fast. And that's because you felt like there was so much toothpaste. So you're like, well, let's just use it. And that means you're using a way bigger quantity than you would have otherwise, which means you overuse. Now, how do you buy in bulk but combat this overusing because you feel flush in whatever you've bought? One thing that helps us is don't use the big jug. So if you buy the huge thing of dish soap, don't just pour right out of the dish soap bottle, because then you'll be using way more than you thought. So we have a container where it's easier to dose appropriately as opposed to using the big one. I also try to hide all my extra stock a little bit so that we get the full worth of whatever it is. So, you know, we buy the 16 Scrub Daddies at Costco, but we only use them one at a time. We only get one at a time out, and then we don't get the new one out until the old one is toast.
Develop new skills or self-reliance. My grandparents were awesome at this. They knew how to do so many different things. There's always opportunities to continue to learn new skills, new trades as we grow. Like, I didn't learn how to can really until I moved to Idaho 8 years ago. And now I feel fairly confident in like home canning.
I don't want to be blindly learning new skills. Sometimes it's worth the time and the effort, and sometimes it's totally not, and it doesn't actually save you any money. Now, basic fixing tasks are normally worth it. Like, I can tighten the handle on my fridge with an Allen wrench, or I can replace my own smoke detector batteries. That's not worth calling someone and paying someone to do that. So an easy way to weigh whether or not learning that skill is worth it is to get an estimate. So we got an estimate for an AC and it was $37,000. But if we could do it ourselves for around $8,000 and install it ourselves, that would be a huge savings. But if you get the estimate, it's like $500, but it would take you, 2 weekends to learn that skill and then apply that skill, that's probably not worth it. But that is a good way to figure out whether or not you should spend the time on YouTube and talking to the hardware guy.
Change your own oil in your car. We did that forever. That's a great way to save some money, except I recently found a shop that will do an oil change for $19.88. I can't even buy the oil myself that cheap. Otherwise, most shops are $45+ to go get your oil changed when you can probably do it for about $25 on your own. And if you know how to change your own oil, let me know down below. My dad taught me how to do it when I was 13.
Changing your own oil might not actually save you money. Sometimes I think we fall into the trap of assuming because it's something that seems feasible that we could actually pull off, of course it will save us money. Between the supplies, the time, the clothes that you wrecked doing it, and disposing of the oil, it might be costing more than you think. Don't get caught in the rut of thinking handy people do this, so therefore I better do this. That's what frugal people do. Sometimes it doesn't save you money.
Replacing is a last resort. My grandparents never threw anything away, ever. Kept things just in case, and tried to make do with what they had for as long as possible. They never replaced their couch in their living room. In fact, my mom has it in her basement now. They just didn't go and buy stuff the way that we do today. It was a totally different lifestyle.
Keeping things just because has a cost too. It can cost you storage and, in the case of that couch, health. I don't even want to think about how many liquids have been spilled on that couch and have not been 100% cleaned up. And all the dust mites that have probably been there for a century now. Burn it. That's why I just like using leather couches. I know that they're clean after I wipe them off. I kind of want to lean on the minimalism side where I don't keep the 40 pieces of small wood just in case I might need one piece in 15 years.
Learn your own butchering. Hey, my grandparents were good at that. My grandma frequently came home with a turtle she found in a ditch and made turtle soup.
What?
If you have family from Louisiana, you know exactly what I'm saying. I can gut and fillet a fish, so there's that. Although I'm not great at other animals.
This is not part of my skill set. I can't even break down a fish. I can do a chicken. I don't like it, but I can do it. In general, whole animals end up being cheaper. And then if you can figure out how to use them yourself, you can save a lot of money, and then you can make bone broth and all that cool stuff, but I don't know. I prefer to do my hunting in the meat aisle. I also feel like there often ends up being waste that way because not everybody likes every single part of the chicken, and then some of it ends up in the trash, and then we have good intentions about making bone broth, and then it doesn't happen because we're busy, and then it goes bad, and then we just throw it away. So that's wasteful.
Maintenance is more important than you think. A little bit of maintenance on an appliance or something in your house can make it last a whole lot longer than just replacing it. I feel like Dave does a really good job at that. Like the fridge ice maker breaks, and instead of buying a new fridge for a new ice maker, which sounds very, very dumb, but people do that, he replaces like a line part blowy fan thing, I don't know, and fixes it for like $18 and a YouTube video that helps him figure out what to do.
This sounds like me talking about how my husband fixes things. I don't know what he did, I don't know how he did it, but it works now. Maintenance most of the time is worth the cost. Try to remember that with your cars too. So maybe maintenance on your toaster is not worth it because you could get another one for 20 bucks. But your car is a big ticket item, so maintenance really matters. When you don't maintain your car, something bigger breaks. So instead of just replacing your water pump for $300, you're replacing your engine for $6,000.
Something I can definitely tell you about my grandparents is that they did not go to a gym ever. But they were very active. They fished and worked in the garden, and my grandpa made, liked to play with woodwork and would make things. They would take walks and things like that, but they never ever went to the gym. They found exercise in just a part of their daily lives and their hobbies. You could call that free exercise.
I have some mixed feelings about this no gym memberships rule. Yes, don't pay for memberships that you don't use, but being unhealthy will ultimately cost you a ton of money. So whatever it takes you to be motivated to actually work out is worth the money. For me, classes are motivating. I love going to jazzercise and seeing my friends and dancing with my friends. It's a blast, which means I spend more time exercising, which is better for my health. Yes, I do want to take more walks, but sometimes if it's not planned, it's not scheduled, it just doesn't happen. Different phases of life call for different sorts of motivation and different things work. For me, the fact that my gym has childcare is amazing. That means I can actually go and have a workout, and it's kind of like a little mini mom vacation. And I know that in this phase of life, hiking is not really super realistic for me because taking a 3-year-old on a hike is quite difficult, and I'd have to pack the baby, so that would be rough.
Consider downsizing. This is so interesting. Here's what I know about a bigger, more expensive fancy house. Your property taxes are more, your utilities are more, you have empty spaces so you buy more furniture to fill it, then you spend more time and energy cleaning it, and that just feels like a lot. If it makes sense for your family, consider downsizing to save some money. Plan.
I think this is super important, and for me, it's more about the amount of the payment and less about the size of the house. I also think climate kind of plays a role in this. So we live in a colder climate, which means I think I kind of would like a larger house because in the winter, if you have kids, we're spending a lot of time inside. So we have to get creative about what we can do inside because, 10 degrees outside is not the best weather for heading outside. But if you lived in a really warm climate, I wonder how small of a place you could get away with because you could always just go outside. Because housing is often people's biggest expense, That's what really keeps people back from reaching their next financial goal, is because they got an apartment or they bought a house with a payment that was just a little bit too big for them. And that extra $400 a month might not seem like much on the first month, but over time it adds up and it weighs them down, and it makes it so that you can't make that other financial progress. If you need a little help kickstarting that budgeting process so that you can pay off that debt and start saving for retirement, check out the description because I have a couple resources down there for you. If you like videos like this, give this a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe so that you don't miss what's coming next. See you in the next one. Bye for now.